Hello. Hello. Hello, hello. Hello. Today, we are going to turn some barns and little a shed and a rooftop that ordinarily, make a cool photo and things, but not really good painting subjects. We're going to turn them into something pretty cool, something a bit more dramatic and a bit more, dare I say, arty. Okay. So say hello if you're there. Let me know you're there in the chat. That way I can talk to you and you can talk to me. If you've got any problems or any questions, you can talk to me. I'm here for you. If you need a shoulder to cry on, I'm here for you. So it's Sydney's birthday today, so I've had a massive morning getting her to school and organising stuff. Good morning, Vicky. And yeah, so it's all happening. There might be a bit of a delay, like the audio might be out of sync with me speech a little bit. It's just something weird going on with my software. Don't know. That's all right. We'll fix that. So let's have a look. We are doing 2 paintings today, both in landscape orientation. First one, let's start off with this one, I reckon. Wow. Right, so this is the out of sync thing. Oh, cool. That's good. This is a photo by Jacqueline Baker Dykstra, as you can see. She put these on the free reference photos for artists Facebook group, which is a fantastic group. If you're not amongst that group, you should be. It's got some cool stuff there. But I urge you to always look at these photos with an artistic eye, not a photography eye, because good photography doesn't make good paintings, and obviously vice versa, I guess, subject matter, but you can get some cool reference. Look for shapes, look for light. G'day James, how are you, mate? Good to see you there. Thank you for joining us. Awesome. The problem with these sort of pictures, as it relates to painting them, is that they can get really kitsch and really sort of chocolate boxy, and kids colouring in book, kids illustrations, that sort of thing. But so we want to try and make it a bit more dramatic than that. This is a cool shape, this one. Obviously it's just a standard barn shape in America, I'm assuming, somewhere. And we need to, but obviously it's seen better days, and that's kind of perfect for what we want to do. So we'll get a bit of texture. We won't overwork it. I'm not going to be painting individual palings and things like that. It's not worth it. But nice strong light there, so we're going to exaggerate that and go quite dark and brooding in the well, I guess on the face. It kind of looks like a face on the face of the barn, and really probably push that mountain back. I really like the way that the hill in the background's got that warm and cool stuff to it. The sun glowing off there, so we'll try and capture a little bit of that, and we'll exaggerate a shadow coming over from the left probably to ensure that we get some nice light. And yeah, we'll crack on. But if you're painting along, Vic, I know you're painting along. James, are you going to paint along, mate? So I'm going to make this smaller. All right, let's have a look. Last week's Tuesday workshop, where we did the lighthouse and the boat, it's got sort of 3,500 views on the YouTube thing, so it's good. It's great stuff. So hopefully this will do the same. So I know there's only a couple of us here at the moment, and that's fine. But it's good that people are watching after the fact, so I love it. So please continue to support and share and like and bloody blah, thumbs up everything. It's always good. Thank you. Let's have a squeeze. Let's move this over there. So I'll just have the reference sort of locked there a bit, so we can just sort of keep an eye on it. But we'll start drawing, eh? We'll move that. Yeah, I think it should be okay. That'll be right there. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's fine. Let's do that. That's better. It's only a sponge under there. You don't need to see that. Cool. All right. Well, that is good. I'm going to go head over to the board and start doing this thing. So what's been happening? Anything exciting going on in the world? Well, maybe not the world. I think there's a fair bit of stuff going on there, but yes. Actually, bear with me for a second. Just realised I haven't got my iPad, so I'm just going to do that. Okay. Cool. There we go. Goody bum. All right, let's have a look. Okay. Let's have a look at that. So let's find the straight line. I always like to go to the horizontal first, and I think it doesn't have to be straight. Let's find the rough height of things. Obviously moving it over, compositionally it's pretty good where it is. We'll draw a box, pretend that's a box there, and we'll go roughly halfway up here somewhere, a little dot, and how about there? So I'm just doing the face of this at the moment. And we'll get to we're not going to actually draw any of the dodgy palings and all that sort of thing. We're just going to paint those in. Yeah. That's about all we need for the barn. Okay. Awesome, James. Good stuff. Did Venu give you an idea of how long it's going to take? They're very cool. Bring that down a bit further. Yeah, that'll do. Now in the guts here, we'll do a little bit of prep for our old doors and things. It's all good. When it comes time to painting these little bits, it'll be done very abstractly. Flat. That's looking alright. But yeah, most of that dodgy stuff there will take care of with the painting. So that's good. So we get it roughly right. And there's extension bit that goes out there. Some trees. There is a little old fence post or something there. I'm not going to draw it out as such, but you know, it's all cool. Now I'm going to just on this side, just give myself a reminder that the light is coming from that direction. If you have to do that, it's always a good idea, I think, to do that kind of thing. It gives you the best chance of making it nice, making it work, and not forgetting that your light's coming from a certain direction. Right, so we're almost at that stage of colouring in. The weirdest thing about this palette, James, is that I actually haven't had a chance to go and use it plein air yet because of just the year it's been and all that. So I can't wait for that. Should be very cool. Who else is there? Say hello, buddy, buggers, bugger luggers. Okay, so I just want to, just so I don't forget, I want to put a little window there, and I do want to put this little, obviously, bit of a basement-y type thing there. Just don't even want to forget about that, but that's all. Now, I'm going to paint the sky first, and I'm kind of going to go similar to the reference, maybe a bit darker at the top, but I just want to make it quite light. So, because this, I'm going to push the tones here, so I want to make that sky nice and light. Bit of water, bit of spray. I don't care if there's any sort of cloudy bits, that's all good, but I just don't want to do it too strong, whatever it is. So we'll go up here, and nice moppy floppy sort of brush at the moment. Moppity floppity, that's good. I do want to make it quite warm down here. Let me just want to clean up a little bit of the palette there, just so that I can get a nice clean bit of raw sienna there. That's just going to go underneath everything down here. It's fine. But we're going to blend it all in. Blendy, blendy. Okay. Just going to see, I just realised I had a line going out there in the sky from my drawing. Just want to, once you seal that in there with water and paint, it's all over. So this is going to be the light side of the sky over here on this left. I'm just going to push it a little stronger on this side. I don't want to make the sky big, strong and brooding or anything like that. So I don't want it to compete with the star of the show, but I just want to make it that little bit stronger in tone, just so we get a bit of, it throws it off balance a little bit. You know, it's not so rigid. Yeah. A bit of blue. A little bit of blue. It's a bit just get it in there and let it sit. That's good. Okay, just while that wash is coming down, I'm resisting the urge to do too much. And I usually just paint over things, as you know. But I'm kind of cutting around this because I know the edges are going to be nice and raggedy anyway, so we don't have to worry about that. But I want to be quite deliberate with my colour choices and things in the barn. So just sort of leaving it well enough alone at the moment. We need some more raw sienna. Some of that's nice. It's just such a nice colour. Like I say, I used to use yellow ochre a lot. Kind of a similar vibe to raw sienna. It's just dirtier, I found. It's just a bit dirtier. So I've gone for this. It's nice. I've also grabbed a couple of extra Daniel Smith colours yesterday just to muck around with. There's this one, which is really nice. What's it called? It's called Lunar Red Rock. I like it. I plan to use it in the barn a fair bit. But we want to really sort of green this up a bit. And going into some lemon yellow here, which might look a bit funky, but I'm just letting it kind of bleed and blend. I'm not pushing it. I don't mind that there are little streaks of light. Not too bad. Just get a bit of that. Turquoise always mixes really nice greens. So just here and there. I don't want it to be cartoon green or anything, but I just need some sort of greenness in there. Because I'm going to have a nice cool shadow going over the top when it comes time. Yeah. So, hey everybody, I've just realised it's kind of stretching it out a bit. That's okay. No, it's all good. It's all good. I'm just sort of thinking, is there anything else I can do while it's still damp? And I don't really think there is. I think I'll kind of leave it, with the exception. It's always your better judgment. Just a bit of burnt sienna. And it's just really, adding that little bit of interest and bit of texture that, look, it'll probably disappear to bugger all, but that's all right in that case. So, in the interest of speediness, we get the old hairdryer going again. Everyone can hear me okay? It's all good that way? I assume so, or you would probably would have said something. Okay, let's see how that lightens up a lot, like it dulls down, so it's not so garish. Okay. Cracky floor, cracky floor, that's all right. Now the approach I'm going to take here with this building, I'm going to do all the background and everything first, like the background mountain, just so it gives us that bit of depth and we know what we're working with, make it all work that way. So yeah, let's do that first. So raw sienna again, because I want a nice bit of light. I want to capture a bit of that yellow glow underneath on the hillside. So, and look, I'm not worried about getting the shape of mountains and whatnot right. I'm just getting them in there. I'd encourage you to do the same. We'll bring that up that way. That's be a nice little foil for that side. So that looks funny now because it's warm, and you know, distant stuff's not usually that warm. It's usually more of a cool thing. So what we do is we counteract that by putting some coolness into it. We don't want to make it too strong. Still quite watery, but that way we can leave a few little streaks and they suggest that warmth coming through. Yeah, that's good doing that. It's nice. So we want to, instantly you can see that's just going to dry off quite nice and be lovely. Just making a nice little soft distance. That's a bit funny there, so it's a bit better. Yep, cool. Just tissue a bit out. Nice. Okay. So this building, I think I'm gonna approach it in a way of choosing a nice underneath base colour, like the pinky rusty stuff for the pinky stuff for the timber. It's a little more orangey for the top, for the tin roof. So not working too thick or too thin, sorry. I want to have a little bit of texture in it. You're probably talking, I reckon, coffee consistency. Start with that. And I know this might look a bit strong right now, and it does, but that's okay because we're just using it as a bit of an underneath thing to work from. It's okay. It's all good. You can start getting a bit of burnt sienna. All right. Bit wet there, that's okay. Just don't want to work too wet there, that's all. I'm going to come down into this lunar red rock, is that what it's called? Yep. And I reckon I'm going to use, it's kind of like a dirty burgundy kind of colour. About that, yeah, it's all right. I'm going to go across in the direction of the palings at the very least, and bring that across there, and leaving a lot of rough brush marks, I think, is the go. Do some downwards that way. Across. And that's all just to give it a bit of a suggestion. And you can do that straight up if you want. The biggest, you know, this is one of those buildings that, because it's a rough as guts kind of thing, it all comes together when you put all the different dry brush and things on over the top. But this will all be covered with shadow, but if I can get this little bit of direction going already, then that'll help, I reckon. Yeah, that's cool. I want to bring that a bit. I want to make this side a little bit sunnier. It's a bit strong there. So just with a bit of water, lifting a bit of that out, and a bit of orange or yellow or something in there. And it's just yellow's a bit crazy, but that's all right. Bit of blue. It's just to give it a bit more of a glow. It's all just underneath stuff, so I'm not worried. And just while we've got some of these other colours here, we'll just start putting in some random kind of marks to suggest all the weathering and all that kind of thing. Not worried about sort of, see how this bit in the middle next to that little window is, you know, it's almost like a separate new bit that was added on or something, or filled in. Not worried about all that detail, doesn't matter. What I do want to do is make sure I get that in. Alright, cool. So this is all just underneath. You gotta have that vision of what's going on later, what's to come later on. Leading me down. Alright, cool, good. I think we need to dry it off again, just while it's doing that. Here's a little lesson I've learned in the past for these sort of buildings. You can't do too much of it, all this sort of stuff here, because as soon as you just sort of keep going and putting different textures and different things, trying to weather it as such, that's when you just overwork it and ends up becoming really muddy. So as long as you're just subtle with it and you're relying on your shadows and you've got your vision in your head for later on, then you're laughing. Okay, so don't do too much. Love it. Cool. Hello, Jack. How's it going, mate? Excellent. Hi, Libby. How's all going there? Good to see us. Good to see us there. All right, let's do this. Let's get... Now, I just plan to kind of do all these little branches and little shrubs and things here now. And then once that's done, I'll tackle the star of the show and see what we can come up with. Let's go into here. Bit of raw sienna again. I like that, putting like a light color underneath and then going over the top with a blue, so you get a nice green, but it's a bit more glowy, if that's a word. I don't care, once again, don't care about the copying the structure of all the shrubs. God, can you imagine being like that? You'd never paint anything. All you'd be doing is copying shit all day. Like that. I'm really liking lemon yellow at the moment. It's pretty crazy on its own, but it does some cool stuff when you let it. Let's go into a bit of cobalt blue, tiny bit of that Paris blue. Let's just get some green stuff going, and it's just mixing it on the paper. You know, let it mix with the stuff that's already there, so you get some nice organic looking trees and shrubs, rather than, you know, coloured in stick on rubbish. You know? I haven't forgotten about those fence posts that are there. I think that's more important to go this way for the moment. Just get a couple of little bits. And also do just with this edge here, it's a bit, you know how you're going, so I'm just coming in there just with a bit of water just to soften up a couple of bits, and I think it just makes it look just a little bit nicer, a little bit more painterly, dare I say the P word. Yeah, it's just softening into it a bit, makes it look a little bit cooler, like better, as in cool as in Fonzarelli cool. Alright. It's a little bit green. It's cool. I know I'm contradicting myself there a bit, but it's just turned a little bit green. I prefer it to be a bit more neutral. So I'm going to go in with a bit of purple. Should neutralise it a bit. Can you hear me when I'm talking really low like this and real sensual? God, that's funny. That's some funny stuff. I had a woman try and crack onto me at a gig the other night. That was interesting. God, poor bugger. Okay, cool. That'll do that for now. All right, here we go. So I'm just going to leave that alone for a second. I'm just going to dry that off. Hello. Alright, so I'm just going to leave this for the moment and I'll concentrate on putting the big shadow wash over that first. Awesome. Okay. So, bluey grey, that's what we're after. So I've got a bit of blue, tiny bit of purple there, bit of neutral tint, bit of ultra, and tiny bit of burnt sienna or something. Yeah, cool. So you really want to push it, but it's got to be nice. Like this bit here has got to be nice and sharp because we want that edge to be quite dominant. There we go, about there. And we're just sort of colouring in at the moment. For want of a better word, I hate saying that we're colouring in, but at the moment we sort of are. It doesn't matter if there's little bits of white shining through because there's, you know, you can see that in the actual reference. It's coming through. I think my camera is distorting the image a little bit. I think it's making it longer and skinnier. Should be shorter and fatter. So I'm just, I'll have a look at that in a sec. Yeah, we can get that in there too. There we go, it's a nice bit of white there. It's always good when you're doing big areas like this is just to not fill it in 100%. Shadow there, exaggerate that a little bit. Okay. So now while it's all wet here still, I'm going to go in with a nice dark here. A bit of burnt sienna, a bit of neutral tint, tiny bit of ultra. Nice and strong, probably creamy consistency. And just want to get in some of that darker stuff under the eaves. And this is when we can start sort of playing with our, you know, the rough edges and things. You know, it doesn't. None of this has to be perfect because it's a dodgy old barn, you know. You know what I mean? That kind of thing, and you get it sort of bleeding in a bit, and it's just a bit nicer and a bit more interesting, rather than having it be all perfect and nice. And it just sort of melts in, and it's good that it, you know, the painting or the paint kind of melts into the other section, you know. Get a bit of awning down there too, why not? It starts to come to life a little bit. We can start. Oh, mailman must be at the door. Sorry about that. Start bringing that across a little bit here and there. I want to keep that edge really straight. Yep. So, dry brush here. We'll start getting some little lines just to give us that little bit of direction. And yeah, it's cool. This sort of colour. Don't lose the light, whatever you do. Okay, that's looking better. Cool. So that'll all sort of fade off to bugger all, but sort of splatter that a little bit, break it up. Okay, so that's all cool. I'm happy with that. That'll dry off and melt in quite nicely. Except for, I just realised I stuffed that bit up. That's okay. That's all. There's something in there. You'll start putting the sort of burnt sienna-y type rooftop on over that wash. This is just that lunar red again, I think. Try that first. Move that up here. So that's the kind of brush strokes you want. Just, you know, remember we're being rough as guts here because it is. Darkness here. And darkness there. Burnt sienna. Just trying to get that weathered tin look, which it's getting there. Looks a bit cartoony, but it's not too bad. Okay, I need to bring that down, have that be more pronounced. There you go, that's better. That's better. Yeah. Get a good old tissue out. Good texture. I reckon that'll be okay for now. G'day Emma, how you going? Materials I'm using is paper. I'm using the Baohong Master's Choice rough paper, and the paint I'm using is a mixture of Schminke and Daniel Smith, and that's pretty much it. That's sort of a common sort of theme for me. It's always rough paper, but good in this case. It's the Baohong. I'm really digging it, and pretty much sort of that's it. Everything else is pretty cool. Brushes are just my bog standard selection of brushes. Nothing flashy. I brought back my favourite $4 Montmartre mop today. I really like that. But yeah, it's all pretty standard. If there's anything specific you're wanting to know about the colours, just ask away, no problem. Yeah, just while I've still got some of this darkness here, I'm just going to put a few little, I think it's still a bit too neat and tidy. It goes back about there. It'll behave differently once it's dry in a second, so I'm not getting too sort of bogged down or concerned with anything. I want to make that darker. That's got to be darker back here. Yeah, that's better. That'll bog in there, that's fine. Right, so I'm just going to dry it off and then see how it's looking tonally. And I think we need to push this out more by strengthening this and potentially weakening that a little bit. Something that's just caught my eye is that just appears to be going down there a bit. That's better. It just appeared like the perspective was off because I'd lost that line. Yeah, that's working pretty well. Just have a squeeze at the questions. Yeah, it's going all right. Yeah, Emma, Daniel Smith's fantastic. Schminke's great quality. Daniel Smith's great quality. Winsor & Newton's sort of been left behind. They're a bit sticky and funny these days. But Daniel Smith and Schminke, whew, beautiful. All right, so let's have a look. Let's just assess this. It's looking alright. It's looking alright. It's kind of lost shadow there a little bit, which is alright. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Over here. Just sort of starting to finesse that a little bit, but I'm getting ahead of myself because I want to push this out still. Let's do it just with some shadow. Purple, bit of orange, always makes a nice burnt orange sort of colour. Just going to push that out by just strengthening that a bit. It doesn't have to be anything, it's just a bit of shadow. You know, that's all we're really painting, and it doesn't have to go all the way along. We can just feather it a bit. So I guess you could just call it a little bit of a stronger shadow in that in those bushes and things. It's okay. Let's cool it down a little bit. It's always good. Just always watch your shadows. Make sure they're interesting and not just flat, lifeless kind of things, because shadows can really make or break, and you want it to hopefully make it, not break it. Alright, so that's kind of, yeah, that's worked actually. Let's push that out quite nicely, and I'll just let it go, and I'll put a few little shrubby marks up there. Nice. Cool. Happy with that. That's good. Happy, happy, happy joy. And I like how that's streaking down. Like it. Good. Excellent. I've never used M. Graham's Dana. No, never have. I've heard good things though. Just want to get rid of that a little bit. Yeah, definitely heard really good things. Shadows. Let's do some shadows and then we'll tidy it up and finish it off. Quite strong shadows, because we're making it up. The shadow coming from here, I'm not going to touch this area. I'm going to do a really slight one going that way, because it's the dark side of the building, and I want to do just a made up thing coming down there, but I'll probably spray that off so it ends up nice and soft as it comes up here. It's a bit purple at the moment, and that's okay, but I want to warm it up a little bit. Do that with a bit of orange. Just neutralises it and just gives it a bit more life, I think. And I'll just go in there with a damp brush. Remember, there's a lot of water in these couple of little washes, so everything will get feels stronger than it really is, but I'm happy with how they're looking. Best thing with shadows, my biggest bit of advice with shadows is to treat them very directly. The more you stuff around with them, the worse they look. So you can see it, this is starting to come to life a bit now. Now I'm going to soften this area right up, and I'm just getting some water and dripping it so it runs down. See, straight off the brush, and it just creates these nice little streaky bits. It's all watercolour. It's beautiful. And it's good to have some hard edges in your shadows and some soft edges. Same as painting. Treat your shadows like a mini painting on their own. It's a little bit warm. Yep, happy with that. That's cool. Just gonna let that sit for a second. I'm just gonna muck around with the camera for a moment to see if it's doing weird stuff. Won't be a second. It's not too bad. It's gone all bright. That's probably... There you go, that's better. That is better. Yeah, it makes it look a bit nicer. Just haven't zoomed in the zoom. So I'll show you, I can zoom in digitally and it kind of messes with the proportion a bit. The colours are all wanky, all weird. Yeah, that's better. That's even better. Sorry, just getting all used. Yeah, still getting used to. I see I'm changing my gear all the time, and I'm still getting used to bits of it. So appreciate your patience. All right, cool. So there's a nice bit of light. I'm gonna dry this off, and I'm just gonna put the finishing touches, like all the little bits and bobs of. We'll call it the garnish. We'll put the garnish on the plate, eh? Okay, cool. That's good. Now, it's not 100% dry, but it's fine for what we're doing now. Now, compositionally, I'm just having a look. I intended initially to do this little fence post and stuff here, but because we pushed the building out by putting that shadow in, I think that shadow looks cool. So I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to put something over here to kind of compensate for, well, not compensate, just sort of balance things out a bit. Just maybe a little, like a tree branch or something. A couple of fence posts. All right, we can do that. Let's do that. Now see how I'm not going back into the palette for water and moisture? I know I just want a dark colour, so I've got that purple sitting there and I'm just using that. And that ensures that you're not constantly watering down your paintings. You don't want to water shit down if you can help it. At the right times, yes, but not when you're trying to do some strong sort of brushwork. Alright, let's just do a fence post about here. That's alright, one stroke, and then there's another one about there. We'll do 3. We'll just give it the impression that it's on a bit of a hill. And that's cool. Don't really have to do shadows from them because they're already in that shadow. So just taking care of dark stuff here now. Just a little bit. Don't want to do too much. That bit's alright. A bit of grass or whatever. So I'm holding the brush right back, just flicking it up and down. Now here, there are a couple of little trees going on. But not much, don't do much. Do need to do a couple of birds. I'm just into thinking about the opaque sort of colours now. I know that looks a bit wacky, but it can tie it together a bit. Just be very subtle. I like how in the door on the front of the barn actually looks like you're looking through, seeing daylight out the other end. I like that. It's good. Red needs to be somewhere. I think it needs to be lifted up a bit. So it can just be something. Doesn't matter what it is physically. Like you go, yeah, I don't know what it is. It's a red thing, but it really helps. And last thing, I don't think we want to do any white highlights, but I'm going to get some jaune, which is quite watered down in there, so we might need to do a bit of different stuff. Oh, that's a bit much. That's okay. That's about it, I think. Cool. All right, I think it's done. Just gonna dry it off. There's something I want to do with that. I do like how that looks on the image. It's cool. Don't want to make it look like it's nice and shiny. That'll do. I like it. I like it, I reckon. So, look, I reckon it actually really works. I am quite happy with that. I think from a boring, I mean that respectfully, boring subject to paint as it is, an old barn, whoop you do. But it's you got to look beyond the obvious. You know, look beyond it. How can you muck around with it to make it a piece of your art? You know, your work. And I think it's worked really nicely. Yeah, nothing wrong there. What I'm going to do, I'm looking forward to seeing your works, of course, and we've got the other piece we are going to do, which I'll show you, is this one. We're going to do this one after lunch or after the break. Interesting. This will be an interesting one because we've got, you know, there's not a big depth. You know, there's no big distances or anything like that. So we've really got to push shadows and muck around a lot with textures, and it should be really nice. And I like the juxtaposition of the old building and the sort of shiny chimney. That was obviously a late addition to this building, but yeah, I like the composition, and should be nice. Should be a nice one to muck around with, and see how we can think outside the box. But anywho. Hang on. All right, I will see you. I'm going to put a timer on here. What is it, 11:10? See you in half an hour. I'll put a 30-minute timer on here so you know when I'm back. And I'll turn the mic off, otherwise you'll hear all sorts. Cool. See you soon. Half an hour. Bye-bye. There we go. There we go. There we go. He's going. Alrighty. So, I hope you've had a good little morning tea or a little bit of lunch, whatever you did. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate you sticking around. Hopefully we'll get a few more in again as well. So let's just have a look at this picture. Hopefully if you're there, you're listening and you can hear me. I'll wait for another second. What I'll do, I just want to tell you about something that's pretty cool. I just remember my quarantine collection of paintings, the 14 paintings I did while I was in quarantine when we got back from our holiday. That collection is still, it was sold and then the fella fell through and, you know, usual stuff happens. But it's all still available, $800 for the 14 paintings unframed. If you're interested, just let me know and we'll go from there. But no, I appreciate that. Appreciate that, absolutely. Now, this scene that we're going to paint, this rooftop, it is fraught with danger. Now, a scene like this is that sort of thing where we've got to start looking outside the box type stuff, because you wouldn't normally think just to paint a corner of a building. Most people will just go up and go, oh, where's the rest of the building? That's terrible, stupid shit, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not. You've got to start looking at things a bit differently. If the corner of the building is more interesting, paint that, you know, like the, whether it be the rooftop like this or just the bottom corner with a bit of a awning or whatever it is, just look for something that's a cool shape. It's got an interesting sort of aspect to it. With this, what really appealed to me was the, yes, the, yes, the, g'day Sharon, how you going? Yes, the actual sort of the grittiness and the, you know, run-downness of the whole thing is appealing and nice to paint. But the nice thing is that the point, the triangle, the spire, I don't know, it's not, I don't know, the pointy bit, that's cool. And as I was saying before, the juxtaposition of all the rubbishy things with the shiny little chimney on there. So there's a few cool things to take into account. The sky's not doing much, so we'll do a really minimal sky. And I like the colouring, and it's strange. Like the picture's strange. I'm not sure what is underneath it, but you see all those little pops of lavender that are already there. They're kind of ready-made for me, for my palette. So it's obviously some sort of thing they put under the shingles or over the shingles or whatever. Anyhow, let's draw on and we'll get into it. Now, I'll just move this over to about there. The Facebook group had reference photos. If you're not a member of the Facebook group, you should be, because it's pretty cool. Go into, I think it's Glazed Over Watercolour Community. I'm thinking of changing the name again. But if you go on there, you'll be able to join up and see all these things and share your work and chat to some cool people about painting and watercolour and all that sort of thing. Good. So let's get cracking on this piece. I'm going to draw it out pretty similar to what's there, really. There's no major editing in that way. The only thing I'll do is the bit on the left, the bit of that awning or the guttering that's fallen down, I'm just going to reattach that because it'll just look better, a bit more continuous. So let's just rough it in. Let's get the bottom edge of that's about a third of the way up from the bottom edge of the roof. About there somewhere. Right over. And then we'll go up probably another third. It's pretty good that way for us. About there somewhere. And pick a point where you want to go out of the shot. Up there a bit maybe. Drawing done, pretty much. That's all right. Right, so we've got all these little shapes we've got to take care of here. So that comes down to about here, this window. It's pretty prominent. It's alright, it's good. Let's get it roughly in there. With this window, it's a bit of a focal point. Normally when I'm painting windows and things, it's just little bang, bang, bang brush strokes. But this, you need to be a bit more deliberate with this because it's, you know, it's a bit more of a feature. The thing where people go wrong with is when it's not a feature, still treating it like it is. You know, so you've got to be a little bit selective. Yeah, I'm not sitting there going through every bloody piece of every bloody thing, but you know, just being a little bit more accurate, which is strange for me. I know. So that actually goes out about there. Let me get that angle. About there, we've got these little bits. Oops. We've got the chimney top. I don't want to make it too tidy, obviously, but there's a lot of stuff that's open to interpretation here. So I'm just gonna, you know, there's gonna be a lot quite dark, lots of little melty, little beautiful, juicy watercolor moments in this, which you should be trying to look for as often as you can. Da-da-da-da-da-do-do-do. Don't get caught in the rain. So I'm not doing much in the way of a sky, I don't think. I will simply put in a bit of a grey cloud, sort of like's in there at the moment. But I want to keep a lot of white in the sky. I've got my skippy brush. And I'll just bring that down a little bit. Not much. little bit. Sky's done. Beautiful. So if you overwork the sky, you're going to lose a lot of light, and this bit's going to be quite heavy. So you want to make sure that you're being a little bit thoughtful about it. But I just do want to dry that off so that I don't get any sort of too much bleeding or soft edges up here. Bleeding I don't care about, I just don't want too many soft edges. That'll do. That'll do. The Skippy brush was always a $2 calligraphy, $2 shop calligraphy brush, and it was made for the express purpose of all that. It was deliberately messed with, but no, it was never a good one. Not this one. The problem with trying to make a Skippy brush out of a good brush, like a sable, is that they kind of retain their shape a bit. They still just go back into a nice brush, so they're harder to do. So synthetic all the way. Let's have a look. Undercoat, I'm going to go warm with the undercoat and cool over the top. Burnt sienna, bit of that orange. Bit of warmth. I'm being careful to leave the white of the rooftops and stuff. These bits. It's weird to be sort of colouring in, but I think the thing is, when you're colouring in like this, and you have to, the thing is just do it quickly so that you don't get things outlined and looking dodgy. So that's fine. I'm not looking for perfect here. I'm just putting an underneath coat. Something like that. And we'll continue it. Just really making sure that I'm leaving as much of the white around the window frame and the doors and things, the roof, as I can. I will mess it up later on, deliberately so. I don't mean I'll stuff it up. I mean, I may do, but I will rough it up. It's probably a better way to put it, but I just want to have it be there, because if you don't leave it, it's not there for later on to mess around with. Got to leave it as much as you can, at least. Well, it looks beautiful, doesn't it? It's lovely. Now, coming down here, I'm just going to go a little bit darker. Still the same warmth, but just a bit stronger. hell is that? Look, something's very off there. Drawing, that's okay. We can sort that out. Now, while I've got this sort of warm colour on here, I'm just going to put a few little drapery sort of lines in. That's about as complex as they're going to get. What we'll do, we need something just being a little bit thicker. Something like that. That'll speak drapes later on. Ooh. Stupid floor. Now, just going to start messing with it a little bit. Splash some water. Lift that out. And dry it off a bit, then I'll start putting some other layers down, I think. Just to dry it off a little bit. I don't want to dry it off all the way. The reason I didn't want to dry it off all the way is I still want some movement when I put the next bit on. So I've got some purpley grey. Let's just start down here. I'm going to go quite strong down here in this little area. But I don't want it too crazy. I like a little bit of that bleeding. It's watercolour. That's beautiful. It's the beauty of it. Now, let's get stronger as we go up there. It's a bit cooler as well as it comes across. And don't colour everything in. Leave little gaps, and it all goes toward making it look rustic and weathered and characterful. It's one thing our American friends say that annoy me, like in cooking shows, so it's so flavorful. I don't know if it's a word. Flavoursome is the word, isn't it? I don't know. They all say it, so it must be a word over there. It's quite strong in here. Take that up a bit. So it's all getting there. It's all looking, yeah, it's all a bit cartoonish and stuff at the moment, and that's fine. That's good. Now, to those who might have thought I was going to paint a whole bunch of shingles and things, sorry to disappoint. Life's too short. But I am going to get a vibe of old and broken. And that's what we're after. That's the real vibe here. Unfortunately, it's all sort of dark, and we'll exaggerate some shadows soon enough. But it's all darkness. Now, I am just going to bring that up a bit so it matches in a little bit better with the other side. Yeah, it's better. That's better. Cool. That's good. Okay, so I'm going to get a cool color now. So I'm going to go quite cool, cobalt blue, with a touch of warmth, a touch of burnt sienna. Yeah, it's just to sort of subdue it a bit. But I want it quite cool because I want it to mix on the paper here. And I'm just going to slowly start, and this is all wet, but I'm just suggesting these little sort of crosshatch marks, and it'll fade off to bugger all, but we just want to start suggesting it because we'll do a couple more with some dry brush sort of later on, but we're just suggesting little bits and pieces, that's all. Now with the blue I'm going to go in here for some nice cool shadowing underneath the awnings. That's the word I was looking for, I think. Quite strong, yeah, that's the go. That's the in there now. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Happy with that. Yeah, just make some sort of dry brush marks. There's no real paint on here, I'm just using whatever's sort of on the page already to start, you know, bringing things down a bit. Dry brush up here, a little bit there. We're just starting to put some texture down. Yeah. Bit of neutral tint and a bit of ultra, just a nice cool dark. Just going in directly under here while it's all wet so it melts in, becomes nice and strong. You want these little areas next to the window and these awnings up here, you want them to be nice and strong. You want them to pop out. Start building those up. Oop. Nice. Just building up texture. It's just water on there now. Okay. Yeah. Just building it up. Buttercup, build it up. Buttercup, build it up. All right, going to give this a bit of a dry off, I reckon. Actually, I can do that right now. That's cool. Just wanting this to look as gritty and, you know, melty as possible. What I'm going to do, just while it's still a bit damp, because I didn't dry it off that much there, just want to melt a bit of it in, you know, sort of help it on its way a little bit if you need to. And it's got gravity. Different subject, this one. It's a different subject, isn't it? It's good. Therein lies the challenge. No point doing the same shit all the time. You'll never get any better at anything. All right, so let's start doing this window. So there's a bit of a separation there. Bit of a lesson in observation, this one. Got to observe. Always. Always should be observing what's going on around you. Yeah, right, we'll go there. do as well, we need to get some shadow under here. So it's gone in a bit lighter. Shadow is coming down there. Bit stronger, bit stronger. That's doing it. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay. Nice. Love it. Nice and strong. That's good. Okay. Let us now begin on the chimney pot. The chimney pot. Dark. Something like that. And I think you just want to make sure that you're leaving a bit of that light. It's really important. Lost a bit of that there. There you go. That's sort of all we need. Don't want it to make it look like it's outlined though, and I don't want it to look see-through either. Just work on it a bit. Get it straight. That's getting there. You can fix a little highlight with gouache afterwards, that's fine. Okay, cool. There's a bit of stuff going on. Cool, good. All right, so a bit of dry brush dark. Plan on just doing a few these kind of marks, maybe not that big. These kinds of things just to give us a horizontal aspect going across. You ready? So remember, we're looking at things that are rough. Sweet, that's looking pretty good. I don't even mind this already. What I do want to do is get a little bit of raw sienna. Now I don't want anything in the sky up here if I can avoid it, but just splash-a-roo. Now it's quite opaque raw sienna, quite transparent, sorry, so it's whatever goes in there, it's just going to be a little hint of some warmth, and I want to do the same with a bit of coolness. And it just adds to the overall, you know, messy effect. Okay, I'm going to dry that off. I'll be back. It's working quite nicely, I think. It's good fun, this scene. It's good fun. Now, I do just want to get back into some dark and just put a few little, these kind of marks here and there, shingle marks. What's that noise? Don't know. All right, cool. So, a couple of things here. Just always trying to look for those little effects and things that can help us. Yeah, this will all wash out nicely. Okay, now here's a good bit. Here's where we get to play with some branches and things. So we're almost on the way of finishing it up. I think the window looks cool. The architraves, I don't know what the freaking word is, whatever. They look cool. Everything's going all right. Swimmingly, I would suggest. So I'm going into a nice dark, just burnt sienna, ultramarine, bit of blue, bit of neutral tint on the rigger. Not much, but I just want to put a few little branchy marks up here. I don't want much. There's not that much of it in the actual scene. There's one thing I've forgotten that I do want to do because it's part of the scene. I was talking about before, the lavender bits. Just a few here and there. Not as much as you can see in the picture because it does look a bit unnatural, honestly, it does. But just a few little marks will tell the story for us. If you haven't got lavender, but you've got white, mix in a bit of white, cobalt blue, tiny bit of burnt sienna. That should get you a nice result. That'll do. Yeah, I'm just going to continue on with branches, and not heaps of branches, just enough to suggest branches. That's all. A little bit from over the corner, not heaps. Don't be afraid to leave areas quite barren if you have to. It's a good thing. Okay. All right. Just trying to think of what brush I want to use for my foliage, because I want some bigger leaves. Dare I say, I want greenish kind of leaves. So let's try mixing a ooh, a gross green. See what we can come up with. That's not too bad. Maybe a little darker. Yeah, I've just got a sort of a thicker rigger, but I don't want really careful sort of brush strokes or anything. Just, you know, getting them in there, get it in there. Been married a long time. See how that looks really nice against that darkness. Now I want to put some shadowy kind of colour in among these, just to give them a bit more life. And then I want to come over here, mix up a nice crazy orange, burnt sienna. It's quite opaque, obviously, the orange. I've got a bit of that jaune colour in it, which I love as well. But it's just to give it a bit of life, a bit of movement. I think it's still good, but it's still got a lot of watercolour-ness to the whole thing. There's lots of bleeding edges and dark edges, strong, soft edges. So overall, it's quite a nice capture. This branch up here is not doing me much good, so just make it a bit stronger. Let's put now what we can do, a couple of little marks with the Skippy. Yep, that's good. I reckon that's just about right. A couple of little birdies flying about. Subdue all that a little bit. I like all that sort of stuff, all that mixing on the page and the running down. Good. I don't think we need much more in the way of highlights. Nice. Alright, let's dry it off and we'll give it a look, eh? That's been great fun. Just feel that the intention was good, but I think the orange and the green are sort of distracting us a little bit from the main focus, which is the window in the building. But that's cool. That's better. Bit more subdued now. It's good. I like it. Right, so it's still drying off, but I'm just going to take the tape off. I reckon it's pretty cool. But yeah, it works. Nice. Let's have a look. I actually really like that. It's a really fun scene to paint. Might do a bigger version of that. Yeah, Dana, I like that. I think it's a different kind of scene, that's for sure. But that's what we've got to do as artists, is push ourselves to see the beauty or the arty-fartiness in things that you ordinarily wouldn't look twice at. You know, you've got to push yourself to start looking for things that aren't pretty sunsets or nice sunsets with a silhouette of someone, or, you know, just not thinking about things in a... it sounds harsh, but I don't mean it to be as harsh, but it's the only word I can think of. You've got to stop thinking about things in an amateurish way. Amateurs look at a pretty sunset, oh, that'd be nice painting, but not necessarily. So always got to be looking out for things that pique your interest, and go, yeah, and just start thinking about it as a painting. Go through the what do you call it? Go through the process in your head mentally of painting it. Just go through it and pretend, what would you do? You go, oh yeah, cool, wouldn't do much in the way of sky, I'd put this there, I'd leave that out, I'd make sure that works, and yeah, just start mucking around with it. That's good. And let watercolour do its thing. Abstract parts, bits that are spelt out. I think the things, and it looks much less stark on the in person, but the thing that really makes this successful is because you've got all this abstracty stuff in the foreground and the, you know, branches and scraggly trees and whatnot. The thing that makes it work is the window, because even though it's painted loosely, there's a bit of attention to detail there. You can tell that there are blinds that are curtains that are drawn in the background. You've got shadows doing their thing, and that's what makes it work, because you've got that juxtaposition of something a little tighter versus the abstract, and that's what you've got to have all the time. You do, you have to. I'll get rid of me there, that's no good. Sorry about that. But yeah, I think it really works. I like it. And when they settle down, I'll take photos of them this afternoon and show you how they look. I'll put them up on the Facebook page. And I expect to see all your guys' work as well. So put them up on the page. Go join the page if you're not there, and get stuck in. And I will see you guys tomorrow night for another demo. Yeah, the reason today got changed from yesterday to today is, like I was saying the other day in my little video, is that the council or the power people decided to replace some telegraph poles in our street yesterday, and they turned the power off all day. So yeah, good fun, good stuff. It was all handy trying to make it, you know, work for a demo. I've just spotted something that I want to fix now, because it'll give me the shits if I don't. in the cooling down of this bit, I kind of lost the definition in the shadow. So I'm going to fix it here. A bit there, a little bit there, and a little bit under there. I'll soften those up in a second. You know what I mean? I lost that a bit. So what I'll do, just a bit of water, just soften them a bit so they bleed out. Well, you still get that coolness, but it's not so, it's a bit more three-dimensional that way. But anyway, yeah, that's better. That's better. It works a bit better now. All right, cool. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I will see you tomorrow evening and say good day on the Facebook page later on. Thanks, everyone. And if you do get something out of this workshop and you do enjoy it, please feel free to make a donation, contribute to the pirate ship. Keeping it afloat is always a good thing. It means I can still keep paying rent and remain married and all that. So thank you very much, but no obligation at all. Trust me, just only if you can. Thank you very much. Love your work, and I'll see you tomorrow night. Bye-bye.